But I would love for you to stay and listen to Matt. And Matt is the co-founder of Climate Pledge Collective and is on leave from a PhD in urban planning. He's a dad and has volunteered with many different climate action groups in Toronto. And I can attest to that because I've worked with Matt on many different initiatives. So Matt, take it away.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm from Climate Pledge Collective, and I only have one slide, which I think Ray is going to put on the screen, but it's like a really, really good slide, okay? So don't worry that there's only one. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess, what Climate Pledge Collective is and what we've learned from it. It's a tiny group that my wife and I started. And basically, we got a free WordPress website, and we declared ourselves to be a group. But what we learned are sort of these two things under the logo there, better, faster, cheaper, and too small to fail, are kind of both our strategies and our slogans. Better, faster, cheaper comes from urban planning theory, and it's the idea of just sort of trying things out. An example would be when they just put like really cheap plastic chairs in Times Square for a weekend to see how it would work as a pedestrian plaza. Because if you can imagine, like actually redesigning Times Square is like $1 billion project, but they were able to do it in a weekend with just plastic chairs under the idea that they're just trying it out and learning from the project. And much later, they did do a big redesign of Times Square that made a lot more pedestrian space. And then the idea of too small to fail is something that started actually just as a joke between my wife and I, but really it makes a lot of sense that we try to be ambitious, but we also try to plan our projects for failure so that even if it doesn't get really huge, it's still a success in its own way. So I'm going to talk about a couple projects we've done and connect them to those two ideas. So the first thing we started out with was an online pledge. I guess I'll tell you how I got to that, but it came from, as a lot of us have said in this meeting, my own anxiety. I was like super anxious about climate change. I'd gone as far as I could with reducing my personal footprint, and it was obvious that it wasn't enough. So I thought, like, what can I do? Like at this point, my energy is better served by getting other people to do the low-hanging fruit, the easy things in their footprints. So we set up a pledge that has like a lot of options. We made it very open-ended so that people don't have to, you don't have to be vegan, you don't have to give up flying, but you have to look at all the options and see which ones work for you. But we also did it sort of in a very cheap way. I mean, I thought about it a lot. I made a good list. I worked with a friend who's a decarbonization engineer to make sure that it made sense. But then we just used Google Forms and put it up on instead of hiring a developer. And then that's the better, faster, cheaper at work. And then another thing we did was we wanted to get out of sort of the bubble of people who are already climate activists, as many of you are doing with the Climate Kitchen conversations, and reach the general public. So we started running climate picnics. And these ones, in a way, like we promoted them a lot and we put little flyers in mailboxes in the neighborhoods and we had volunteers help us with that. But they were also, in a way, like too small to fail because we knew that the worst case scenario is that we're in a park with some musicians and we have a big sign that says climate picnic and we have a nice time in the park, even if no one comes. And we have this big sign up and a lot of people will see and think about climate change even just for a few seconds. So that's in sort of what I'm talking about in terms of like thinking of your projects as too small to fail. And then another thing we did was we thought, oh, it would be amazing to have ads on the subway with climate facts. And like that was a big ambitious project for us because we were just getting started. So we thought, oh, like how can we plan this for failure? So when we set up the crowdfunding site, we'd done the research and we found out how much it costs to get subway ads on, which was like almost $10,000. But we said, like, if we don't raise that much money, we're gonna give whatever money we raise to the Unistoten Legal Defense Fund and to eco-justice, so that even if like this is kind of a bust and we raise $70 or $18 or something, at least we're making a donation to good organizations. And in the end, we did raise the money and we had a little bit of surplus, which we gave, like that was above the amount that we needed for the subway ads, which we gave to Unistoten and eco-justice. So that's what I mean in terms of like thinking of yourselves as too small to fail and thinking of planning your projects in a way that even if it doesn't become the huge thing that you want it to be, the huge thing you feel like has to happen for climate change because it's such a big problem, like all the levels of success are a success in this project. And that's something I really took away from the IPCC report, where they said that all aspects of society, all social sectors have to be completely transformed within the next 20 or 30 years. So if everything has to change, like if what we eat has to change, if transportation has to change, you're not going to change all of it, right? So you can start anywhere if everything has to change. So any kind of project, anything that you're doing like that is going to be a success. You just have to kind of trust that other people are working on other areas of the problem. You pick something that seems important to you and you try to get a success in that area. And then you know that other people, like there's all these different activist groups in this meeting and they're all working at this from different angles. So you just let it, it's okay that you're not doing everything. Pick one area and get started. And then the last campaign I wanted to talk about, so when the pandemic struck, we couldn't really do climate picnics anymore because you're not allowed to like go outside or that kind of thing. So we started looking around for what was an important issue, and we started our bank switch campaign. So maybe a lot of people in this group already know this because this is people who are sort of more informed than average on climate, but the Canadian banks have pumped over $600 billion into fossil fuel expansion and infrastructure since the Paris Agreement was signed. So we've got a campaign where we're signing people up to switch their bank. We try to make it in a general sort of an easy way to do it. We say, contact your branch manager first, let them know you're concerned. That's an easy first step. And then if after 6 months or a year, an amount of time that's good for you, you still aren't happy with the bank's fossil fuel policies, then you transfer your money. So yeah, on our website, Ray's got it in the chat. You can learn about the bank switch campaign, and I hope you can sign up and contact your branch managers. And yeah, there's other projects and tools on our website, so check it out. And we're happy to give you pointers or help you with information. Thanks a lot. This is really inspiring just to see so many people reaching out to different groups in different angles, because I really think that's what we have to do. Is there's so many people we have to talk to and so many projects and so many problems. So, you know, just start where you are and grow that network of people who are talking about climate change a little bit larger. So thank you, everybody. Very glad to be here, and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Matt. That was great. So many good initiatives and tips